Good evening. For those of you that are on Facebook and YouTube, I want to say, first of all, thank you for taking the opportunity to jump on this live stream. I am extremely excited to come to you guys here today. I have been trying to go live for the last 3 or 4 days, and I tell you, life just gets in the way. But before I continue, let me go ahead and officially introduce myself. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Mark Pyers. I'm a home-based business tax coach and wealth coach. I'm also the CEO and founder, alongside of my beautiful wife and business partner, Mrs. Levita Pyers, of an amazing tax educational platform built for entrepreneurs called the Academy of Financial Education. Let me say that again: the Academy of Financial Education. Now, let me go ahead and put a disclaimer out here before I get started. I am not a financial advisor. You should probably be proud of that. You should probably be happy that I'm not a CPA and or a financial advisor. Now, I'm not throwing any shade, but what I'm going to tell you, and most CPAs will tell you this, okay, is that the school system does not teach CPAs how to teach their clients how to legally, ethically, and morally. I want to highlight that: legally, ethically, and morally reduce their taxation. Okay, that course is not designed for that. It's designed to teach their clients which taxes they must pay based on their income sources. Okay, and so I just want to throw that out there. Okay, now let me tell you a little bit about who I am and why I believe that I can speak on a topic that I'm going to talk to you about. I am a tax strategist. I am a licensed or recorded tax preparer with the IRS. That doesn't really mean much, okay? Tax preparers they come a dime a dozen, okay? Anyone can prepare taxes, all right? You don't need any special knowledge. You don't need to know how taxes work. You don't need to know, what tax advantages apply to someone and which ones penalizes them, okay? You don't need to know any of that information. All you have to know is how to do data entry inside of a tax preparing software. Okay, so I have been a student of the IRS since 1994. Now, I didn't choose this industry, it actually chose me. I was actually audited in 1994 from a tax return that a gentleman did for me, and he claimed a moving expense on that return. Okay, I thought that was the most devastating time of my life. I'm telling you, I can't tell you the fear that I had when I picked up that mail and it had the Internal Revenue Services on it. Now let me tell you, something a little bit funny about that, okay? Now, maybe I missed this part in school, that the IRS actually existed and there was something called income taxes in this country. Okay, maybe I missed that. I don't know. Okay, I was a self-employed plumber or handyman, if you would. Okay, and I would go to people's houses. I would perform the services. They would write me a check or give me cash. I'd put that money in my bank account. I pay my bills. I live my life, right? And so it was only when I took a job in corporate America that for the first time I understood that I had an uncle that never showed up to my house. He never showed up for my birthday. He never showed up for Christmas, right? But this uncle wanted a percentage of my money every week, even though he never showed up to do any of the work. Okay. So I didn't even know who the IRS was. So long story short, I got audited. And where I grew up, guys, look, when you talk to an attorney, okay, it was typically because you were facing some sort of criminal event, right? You were in trouble with the law, right? So I had a little fear of attorneys, and to be honest with you, I couldn't afford an attorney. Okay, so first of all, I had this fear, but second of all, I had this money challenge because every attorney that I looked up wanted $3 to $4 to $5 to $600 per hour. Okay, I was making $18 to $19 per hour. I couldn't afford an attorney. Okay, but I tell you what happened. I was so blessed to grow up in the inner city that I had street smart. And God has given me this incredible mind that I think so much differently than the average person. I've had a lot of CPAs tell me this. They said, you know, I have watched your videos, Mark, and I don't know what your level of tax education is from the traditional educational system, but I've been a CPA for X amount of years, 10 years, 15 years. I talked to a CPA the other day. Heck, he might even jump on here. He's in my Facebook friends list. You know, this guy has been a CPA for over 18 years. And he tells me often, he inboxes and he tells me often, I am learning so much from you. Now, I'm not tooting my own horn, but what I want you to do is I want you to get rid of, okay, any of the myth that you may have been taught, because we've been taught a whole lot of myth, okay, about the tax system. In fact, we've been taught a myth about the IRS, okay? We've been taught that the IRS is a boogeyman. So when I got that letter in 1994, okay, I was scared as heck, okay? I didn't know what to do. In fact, it took me 2 weeks before I ever decided that I need to take action, because they only gave me 30 days, okay? Now, don't feel sorry for me, okay? I got it right. I got into some information. I got into the hidden information of the tax laws that actually told me how to prepare for that audit, okay? And I went and represented myself downtown Los Angeles, okay? An African-American man, okay, that knew nothing about the tax code and the tax laws. And I walked out of that audit with an additional $572 coming back to me. I'll tell you guys the rest of that story if you attend my training. So I want you to know that I am not a student of the traditional educational system. I am a student of the IRS, okay? And I'm going to tell you right now that that myth that the IRS is a boogeyman, okay, that is to frighten you from the information that is going to teach you how to keep your money. I just want to get up and run around the room right now, okay? I want to get, because some of you don't feel like that. I'm going to tell you right now that 90% of the information from the IRS around taxation, you ready for this? Is how you can keep your money from paying the taxes. I know you don't believe that to be true. Okay? I know you don't believe that to be true. Okay? But 90% of the information from the IRS is how you can get a tax deduction. Not how you should be paying these taxes. Okay? Now I'm going to put another disclaimer out there. I believe that everyone should pay every dime that they owe in taxes, but don't you dare leave a tip, okay? And I want to tell you this, okay, that every dime means it could be zero, okay? It could be zero. There's a reason why the Warren Buffetts, the Donald Trump, the Oprah Winfrey, the Bill Gates, I think I said Donald Trump already, the Jeff Bezos, okay, who income increased $99 billion, I think in 2019, okay, but his tax rate percentage was 0.8%, I think it was 0.8, 0.9%, somewhere like that. Like it was under 1%. Okay, I want to ask you a question. Okay, is your tax rate under 1%? If you're earning $60,000 on your job, was your tax rate under 1%? Was it 2%? Was it 3%? Probably not, right? And so do you believe that there's some information that you may not be aware of? Well, I'm going to tell you right now that there is. In fact, one of the most devastating tax changes took place in 2018 in this country, and 99.9%, I'm just putting that out there because I haven't met anyone yet that has been aware of this change. So I'm going to say maybe there's a 0.5% of people that may be aware of this change. In 2018, the government passed what was called the Tax Cut Job Act, okay? And I'm not going to bore you with the story, but it's very important that you know this, especially if you are a homeowner. Why? because it robbed you of wealth and you don't even know it. It robbed those of you, right, that have been taught that the American dream is to own your own home with the white picket fence. And I believe in home ownership, but I'm going to tell you right now that the rug has been pulled from underneath you and you don't even know it. If you filed taxes this year in 2022 and you got a 1098 from your mortgage company, if you are a married couple, unless you spent more than $28,000 in mortgage interest and property taxes, you got zero tax deduction for the money you gave to Chase, money you gave to Bank of America. I want to say that really slow because I want you to get what I'm telling you, because what you're going to learn is that you're throwing away tens of thousands of dollars because of what you don't know. I always like to make this quote from the Bible, and those of you that are really spiritual and you're going to say, Mark, that's not what the Bible was talking about. Okay, I'm just going to take that quote and I'm going to apply it to this conversation, okay? The Bible says that my people are destroyed from the lack of knowledge, okay? And what I found over the last 30 years is that the average person, the average and above person, average person, okay? Because I've got a client of mine who's got 3 degrees, okay? He's got more degrees than a thermometer, okay? But he has zero knowledge when it comes to taxes. In fact, I asked him one day, I said, do you actually know what a tax deduction is? And it took him about 5 or 6 minutes to really get to the point and say, I really don't know what it is. And I don't know how it works, right? And so why am I bringing that up? Because Albert Einstein, one of the smartest individuals that has ever lived, okay, IQ is off the chart, was quoted saying that one of the hardest things to understand is the tax code. No, your sound didn't go out. I paused for a minute. One of the smartest persons with one of the highest IQs went on record to say, with all of my intelligence, with all of my smartness, one of the hardest things to understand is the tax code. And I'm going to tell you right now that over the last 30 years, okay, and over the last 10 to 15 years, and over the last 5 to 6 years, and during this tax season right here, okay, that statement is incorrect. That statement is totally incorrect. The problem is that the information isn't being taught. Now, you have to ask yourself that question, why, okay? So let's talk about some of the changes that are affecting Americans right now, because the economy has changed. We all see it, right? We got inflation, right? Food prices are skyrocketing. What are you going to do about it? You can't change the prices, right? We got the housing market now on its way to be turned on its head. Okay, that's a whole different story. Okay, which leads me back to what I just dropped on you a moment ago for the homeowners. Okay, you are getting no tax deduction anymore for the mortgage interest and property taxes that you are paying to your mortgage company and to your state. I want you to understand what that means. That means that, let me give you an example. Let's say that you spent $15,000 or you paid $15,000 in mortgage interest in 2022. You got a 1098 form to give to your tax preparer to claim the tax deduction of that $15,000. Again, if you are a married couple, you got no tax deduction for that $15,000, although you gave that $15,000 to Bank of America. And so if you can't deduct it, that means you also paid the federal, the state, the Social Security, and Medicare taxes on that $15,000, although you gave it to the bank in the form of interest. Mm-mm-mm. But there's a solution for that. You ever heard that? You ever heard that saying? What? There's an app for that. There's a solution from that. There's a solution for that. There's a simple solution in the IRS code that now allows the American homeowners to take back the benefit. Guys, you got to hear this. I'm about to drop $1 million nugget for you. Okay, there is a simple rule in the tax code that now allows the homeowner that is getting zero tax deduction for their mortgage interest and property taxes to now reclaim a percentage of those that mortgage interest and property taxes. Watch this, hold on, and still get the tremendous government standard deduction. I got to explain that one for you. I got to explain that one for you because this one right here is worth its weight in gold. Okay. So let me give you an example, real example. Okay. A married couple, okay, that owns a home or don't own a home. Okay. Let's say that they own a home, but the home has nothing to do with this. Okay. A married couple that earns income in the United States of America, the government gives you 24,000. I think it's 24,000 this year. Might even be 28,000. Okay, don't quote me on that. Okay, 24, 28. The story's still the same. Okay, they give you that as a standard deduction. Standard deduction means the government says that we're going to let your first $24,000 be tax free. Okay, so if you made $100,000 and you're a married couple, your first $24,000 is non-taxable. Okay, I don't care if you make $60,000 a year or you make $250,000 a year. Your first $24,000 is tax free. Okay, not tax deductible. There's a difference. Okay, now let's say that homeowner, okay, that person, that married couple owns a home. Okay, and they pay mortgage interest. Okay, now typically how it would work prior to 2018, you'd have to choose. You're either going to itemize, which means you're going to take the mortgage interest and property taxes that you paid, okay, and you're going to not take the government standard deduction. You had to make a choice: take the government standard deduction or take the mortgage interest and property taxes. Well, the average homeowner would always choose the mortgage interest and property taxes prior to 2018 because it was more than the government standard deduction. You ever heard of this game called Three Card Molly? Well, thank Donald Trump, okay, because they played some 3-card Molly rules with the tax code. They moved some numbers around. They increased said that they increased the standard deduction, okay, but what it did was it penalized the homeowner to now no longer be able to get a tax benefit for owning that home. Again, there's a solution for that, and it is, guys, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't cost you any more money. It doesn't cost you any more money, okay, and you can now get a percentage of your mortgage interest, property taxes, light bill, water bill, gas bill, utilities, all your utilities, your internet, okay, your security alarm. Watch this. Even if you weren't in that position, a homeowner could not claim their property insurance, their homeowner insurance. Guess what? You also get the homeowner insurance. But guess what? There's a lot of you that own a home that's in what they call it, HOAs. Okay, HOAs are non-tax deductible unless you get this one little rule. And then all of that money that you're already spending now goes on top of the standard deduction. I told this to a CPA the other day. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, is it possible to take the standard deduction and itemize at the same time? If there's a CPA on here, please type it in wherever you're at, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, okay? Is it possible to get the government enormous standard deduction and still get the benefit of itemizing? Itemizing means I get to take additional write-offs, which does what? Reduce my tax liability, and it could take it all the way down to zero. I've got a client right now, okay? I'm not going to tell too much of her story, okay? who earn upwards of $50,000 in her business. I'm going to tell you right now, she's going to pay zero taxes on that $50,000. Legally, ethically, and morally. My people are destroyed from the lack of knowledge. And I'm already 20 minutes into this thing, and I hadn't even got started, guys. I didn't really want to drag this out, but it is vital, okay, that we understand that the rules have changed, the economy has changed, the game has changed, the money system has changed, the banking system has changed. There's so many things that you got to get your arms wrapped around. But the number one thing that you got to get your arms wrapped around is this. You can't do anything about inflation, okay? But you can do something about taxation. And now if you could actually put that $200, that $300, that $400, that $500 that you're losing in the form of taxes back into your pocket on a weekly or monthly basis, and now take that $500 and put that money somewhere where that money now is working for you, would you be in a better place? I'm going to tell you, absolutely, you would be. And so I am putting together, by popular demand, hadn't done one in a couple of years now, okay? I'm putting together, my wife and I, a tax course, okay? It's a tax training. It's not a tax training. Tax trainings are boring. It's a wealth training. I'm telling you. And I'm going to teach it directly from where I'm never going to leave the IRS site. I'm not going to use any PowerPoints. I'm going to take you right to the source that many of you are afraid of, have been taught to be afraid of, and I'm going to show you that the IRS is actually your friend, not your foe. I'm going to show you that we have been bamboozled because we are forbidden to be taught this information, okay? I like to use this analogy, okay? Now, don't get offended, okay? I remember as a child, my mom and dad sat us all down, and we had to watch this movie, Roots, okay? And it was about slavery, okay? And I can tell you, as a young child, I didn't understand everything, okay, about that particular movie, okay? But one of the things that really stood out to me was that it was forbidden to teach the slave how to read. Because my mom and dad, okay, you didn't stay home from school. I don't care. I mean, the only way you were staying home from school, your legs had to be broken. They probably would have put you in a wheelchair and rode you to school anyway, right? Okay. But it was forbidden to teach the slave how to read. And I'm going to tell you, okay, as I prepared myself for that audit in 1994, and I started stumbling on some information that was mind-blowing. And I said, wait a minute, who gets to do that? What do you mean travel and get 100% tax write-off for it? Wait. What do you mean get on a cruise ship and get $200 to $300 to $400 to $500 per day in tax deduction? Who gets to do that? What do you mean go out to a restaurant and get a 50% tax deduction from the money you earned on your job or in your business or both or from retirement? Who gets to do that? Now, at that time, I didn't have a business. I didn't even know about businesses. I mean, I knew businesses existed, but I didn't know that you and I are already considered a business because we have a social security number. I'm telling you guys, what you don't know about taxes has been and will continue to cost you tens of thousands of dollars because of the fear, one, because of the lack of information, okay, the lack of tax education, which isn't taught at any level in any school system. I don't care if you went to Harvard. I don't care if you went to Yale. The school system isn't designed to teach financial education. And even at within a CPA course, they don't teach you how to lower your clients' taxes, how to strategize and figure out, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, because you're not doing this, you're paying more taxes. But if you just do this one thing, now you can keep that money in your pocket. CPAs are taught that's not the compensation they're supposed to be having with their clients, right? And so, is that on purpose? I'll save that for my. I'll prove that it's actually designed not to teach this information. Okay. So what am I going to be teaching on the course? So I posted this on my Facebook. I'll go ahead and give you guys some bullet points. Okay. One is how to walk into your job and give yourself an instant pay raise, and your boss doesn't even get a vote. You don't need to have a conversation with your boss. Okay. You ain't got to go to HR. Okay. You don't have to pick it. You don't have to do like the teachers just did and pick it. How to give yourself an instant pay raise on your job. Your boss doesn't even get a vote. Okay. How to turn your vehicle into a $5,000 ATM machine. I'm going to tell you right now, man, I've got a 2004 Lincoln Navigator. Okay. If it was in pristine condition, I could only sell it for about $5,000. Okay. That vehicle, this year, last year, the year before that, okay, on average, returns back into my wife and I pocket, okay, $4,000 to $6,000 in tax savings every year. The vehicle isn't even worth that. You could have a 1990 Pinto. Some of you say, what the heck is a Pinto? Okay. Look it up. Okay. You could have a I don't even know they had a Pinto. Maybe it's 1980, whatever. Okay. You could have a car that's got that, a 4-door that only got 3 doors. And it could generate $5,000 to $6,000 in tax savings in your pocket every year by making one decision. Okay. And you won't believe what the decision you have to make. Okay. I'll tell you in a minute. Okay. How to earn $10,000 a year, 100% tax free. I paused for a reason. How can you say that, Mark? How can you say that? Because I know the facts. And I'm going to show it to you directly from the IRS. See, it's not complicated, it's just simply on top. How to generate $10,000 a year, 100% tax free. I'm talking about if you got a W-2 wage on a job and you earn $10,000 extra money in your side hustle, that $10,000, I'm going to show you money you're already spending right now, more than likely will wipe out 100% of the taxes on that money. That one was worth that was worth the time you spent right here, right now. How to turn your play into pay. Okay. How to turn your play into pay. How would you like to travel more, okay, and get a 100% tax deduction for it? How would you like to have a nicer car, okay, and get a tremendous tax deduction for it? How would you like to be able to go out to your favorite restaurant and have great conversation about building generational wealth and get a 50% tax deduction, okay, on the entire meal, including the tip and the drinks? How would you like to get paid for driving to the restaurant to have that conversation and get paid to drive back to the house where you pay mortgage and or rent? I just hit on one. Rent, Mark, rent is never tax deductible. Renting an apartment, never tax deductible. My CPA says rent is not tax deductible. Absolutely a myth. One decision puts thousands of dollars back in your pocket. And if you take that money now and put that money to work for you, financial freedom could be yours. I don't know who you are. Okay. I don't know who you are. Okay. Let me see. Number 5, how to deeply reduce or even zero out 100% of any capital gains on your investments. Biggest one I'm going to talk about is cryptocurrency. Ooh. The lack of knowledge about cryptocurrency and the tax implications is costing you tens of thousands of dollars. And the IRS is getting really hot on making sure that these platforms are starting to report these activities, okay? So again, I believe everybody should pay every dime they owe in taxes, not a dime more, and don't leave a tip, okay? When you learn this information, okay, there should be nothing left to tax you on. I pause for a reason. Okay. There should be nothing left to tax you on. Let me say this to you as I get ready to wrap this up. Okay. Because I already know that some of you are going to talk yourself out of this. Some of you are going to say, nope, that guy's going to have you where Wesley Snipes went. No, see, Wesley Snipes, okay, with all of his money, listen to someone that says that taxes are unconstitutional. Okay, let me tell you something. I believe that taxes are unconstitutional, but I don't get to make the rules. Okay, so have you heard that saying, if you can't beat them, join them? Okay, so I decided to join, okay, them, the IRS, the tax code, learn, because I knew when I discovered that information in 1994, and I've had my head embedded in the IRS tax code from that day. My wife will tell you I'm obsessed with this information. I've spent too much time sometimes with this information, but I feel like I had a guy tell me one day. He said, "You remind me of the male figure of Harriet Tubman." I said, "Who's Harriet Tubman?" He says, "Harriet Tubman is the black female slave that she just knew that there had to be freedom. And she ran for freedom, and she found freedom. And she came back numerous of times to try to free the other slaves because she found freedom." He said, "You remind me of Harriet Tubman because you have found information that people go to their graves and they'll never learn. Losing tens of thousands of dollars, okay, causing them to go into debt." I always say taxes, debt, and inflation is a triangle of debt, is a triangle of financial death. Taxes, debt, and inflation. Why? Because when you get your paycheck, a percentage of your paycheck is taken in the form of taxation, right? Federal, state, Social Security, Medicare. For those of you that don't live in a state where you pay state taxes, you still got federal, Social Security, and Medicare taxes, right? Then you get your money, right? Now we got inflation. That's the money, that's the purchasing power of your money declining, which causes you now to have to use credit cards to subsidize what your dollar don't buy anymore. They don't even teach that in school, but I'm not even going to get on that, okay? And so here's the question. If there were a legal, ethical way for you to legally put that money back into your pocket, why wouldn't you do it? And for those of you that are saying, well, Mark, if the government didn't collect tax dollars, how are they going to operate? How are they going to have a military? How are they going to have welfare programs? How are they going to have all of these things that you think that the government is doing for the people? Well, let me let you in on another secret that is forbidden to be taught in the educational system. And that is, okay, prior to 1913, there was no federal income tax in this country. Okay, let me say it again for the person in the back of the room. Prior to 1913, there was no federal income tax in this country levied on your income. So how did the government operate? It's called tariffs. Okay, do your research. Okay, and here's the last part I want to put to that. If the government needed your money, why would they create all of these things called tax deductions and say, if you do this, we'll give you the money that we took from you back? Why is the government giving me a 50% tax deduction for eating steak and lobster over a conversation about making money? However, the employee goes to sit in the cubicle for 8 to 12 hours and all he gets is taxed. If the government needed your money to operate, why would the government give you a tax deduction for driving your vehicle to go make money? But the W-2 wage earner gets zero tax deduction for driving their vehicle, but they get taxed the same tax percentage. Okay, I think you guys got what I just put down. So if you want to learn more about my upcoming tax mastery training, I'm telling you, you can't afford to miss it. You can't afford to miss it. I'm telling you right now. Okay. If you got some value from what I share right now, you haven't seen nothing. You haven't seen nothing. Wait until we go directly into the IRS website. Oh my God. you are going to be so pissed. You're going to be so pissed because now you're going to realize that you've been giving away hundreds and even thousands of dollars, that if the school system would have taught you this, you would have never given away. You would have never lost. And so inside of the subject on whatever platform you're on, Facebook, YouTube, inside of the description, there is a link, www.letmymoneygo. Just go to that page, fill in your details. If you want to learn more about the details of this event, I'll tell you, and this is not a sales hype, seating is limited, okay? And I'm going to tell you, the seating will not last, okay? And I promise you that you will walk away from that. You will walk away from that training saving a minimum of $5,000 for the rest of your life in taxes. I'm telling you that right now. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how much money you make. Okay? You're going to walk away from that training for the rest of your life in a position to save $5,000 minimum. That's the minimum for the rest of your life. So I hope you guys got value from that. Man, I went way too long. I know it's been a long time since I've been on live, and I've got to come on more and have these conversations because we are in some devastating times. I'm telling you right now, what's happening with the United States dollar. I'm not going to get into that right now. I might touch on that on the training. There's so much. And I'm going to tell you, our children are depending on us to get this thing right. Okay? And so when Friday comes and you get your paycheck, here's what I want you to do. Okay? If you decide, whatever. Okay? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at the amount of money that's in the federal box and the state box. Don't worry about Social Security and Medicare because you can't do anything about that as an employee. That's called a hint. As an employee, you can't claim any deductions to reduce Social Security and Medicare. But as an entrepreneur, I can zero out 100% of Social Security and Medicare. Oh, that ought to piss you off. I want you to look at that paycheck. And then I want you to go home to your family. And I want you to say to your husband, your wife, your children, I spent 40 hours building someone else's dream. And because I refuse to get educated on how to keep the fruits of my labor, I gave the IRS, Uncle Sam, that never shows up for a birthday, never shows up for Christmas, never shows up on rent day. I gave them X amount, whatever that dollar amount is in there, okay? And I'm going to continue to give it to them freely because I refuse to get educated on how to legally, ethically, and morally keep my money. And so, guys, with that being said, I hope you got value from this. Mark Pyers, home-based business tax coach and wealth coach, CEO and founder alongside of my beautiful wife and business partner, Mrs. Levita Pyers, where we're changing the world through education and teaching the masses that documentation beats conversation. And the more you know, the less you legally, ethically owe in taxes. That being said, again, you'll find the link inside of the description. You can get more information as far as the date. I can tell you right now, it's not a free webinar. But when you hear the price, you're probably going to say, yeah, this is free. However, we're on a mission because things ain't right now. And so with that being said, guys, we'll see you on the next live stream.